We are products of grace. This is the understanding I want you to have today. We're not products of circumstances. We're not products of our parents per se. For every one of us who have received Christ, we are products of grace. And it's important you begin to think in this direction. It doesn't matter what your life looks like today. It doesn't matter the circumstances of your life. You are a product of grace. Now, it's important that you accept this truth. Let it become your revelation and your understanding as an individual. Now, the journey of grace began at salvation. The Bible says, by grace are we saved. By grace are we saved. And that's where your journey of grace begins from. We're not designed to struggle all through life. We're not designed to just make ends meet and just struggle with the circumstances of life. The grace of God has been made available for us in our journey in life. The grace of God has been made available for us in our journey into destiny. And so it doesn't matter where you are today. I want to ask you to begin to think and embrace that the grace of God is available over your life. You're a product of grace. And the circumstance of life notwithstanding, grace is available. There's a man called Joseph in the Bible. This man began with a revelation of God's plan for his life. He saw a future that was bigger than his present realities. And of course, after that vision, he began to a series of challenges, a series of problems. But in the midst of this challenge, grace made all the difference in the life of this young man. Genesis 39, Bible says, and Joseph found grace. I trust God with you that you will find grace in unexpected circumstances. Grace will be available for you. And when you are functioning by grace, it will take away the limitations of life. Grace will take away the weaknesses of life. God's word declares, He said, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. And so, no matter the circumstance of life, no matter the weaknesses of life, grace will make up for our weaknesses. Now, ordinarily would have expected that the brothers of Joseph would have helped him into destiny. But nobody was there to help him, but grace was available to help him. Now, grace is God's intervention in the face of life circumstances. Grace is divine enablement that helps us to rise above the limitations of life. And so we are products of grace, and that grace is available in abundance. Now, when grace is at work, the challenges of life will turn to your advantage. When grace is at work, the limitations of life will become an advantage for you. Why? Because you'll not be functioning by yourself. You'll be functioning by the grace of God. Now, in the words of Apostle Paul, he said, I am what I am by the grace of God. Now, ordinarily, if you understand the story of Apostle Paul, he wasn't part of the 12 disciples. He wasn't part of those that walked with Christ in his earthly ministry. He came after Christ had gone. But he came from the back and took over the other apostles. Not because it was better, but because the grace of God was available for him. And he said, I am what I am by the grace of God. He said, and I labor more abundantly than they all. He said, yet not I, but the grace of God that was made available. And so grace actually is not an excuse for laziness. Grace is not an excuse to just fold your hands and do nothing. Grace is the ability of God that helps you to do more. When you function in grace, when you labor in grace, it makes all the difference. Where others fail, you will succeed. And don't forget, God's word declares, it says, where others say there is a casting down, it says for you, it shall be a lifting. Why? Because grace is available. And so I want to challenge you today to begin to think this way, begin to walk this way, begin to labor this way, that you are a product of grace. You're not a product of circumstances. Grace is available over your life. John chapter 1 verse 16, it says, and of his fullness are we all received, and grace for grace, grace from one degree to another. You can never exhaust the availability of the grace of God, and this is how you should function in life. You are a product of grace, and because of that, you cannot fail in life. The ability to fail has been taken away from you. Why? Because grace is at work over your life. Whether you are a mother, you're a father, you're an employer, you're an employee, it doesn't matter what you do. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a pastor. Grace is available. I'm speaking to you today because I'm functioning in grace. Bible says, and of his fullness have we all received, and grace for grace. Unto every one of us is grace given according to the measure of the stature of Christ. Ephesians 4 verse 7. And so grace is available. As you step out every day, go with this understanding. I'm a product of grace. And when grace is at work, limitations will become an advantage. When grace is at work, what men thought for evil will turn around for your good. I bless you today, and I see you function maximally in the grace of God. Grace will multiply over your life. And of course, two ways to increase in grace. Number one, in the place of prayer, you can increase in grace. Ephesians 4:16. It says, let us come boldly to the throne of grace, that we might receive mercy and find grace to help in times of need. And so every day you go on your knees to pray, every time you pray in the Spirit, there's an increase, there's an increase in grace. You enter into the realm of grace as you spend time with God in the place of prayer. And so the throne of grace is a place where we contact grace for our journey of destiny. Number two, you increase in grace as you increase in the knowledge of God. It's a grace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of our God. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 and 4. And so grace is multiplied as you increase in knowledge. Knowledge of God increases the grace of God on your life. And my prayer for you today is this: grace will multiply over your life. You will grow in grace and become all that God has ordained for you in your life and in your destiny. I have a privilege to share this with you, and I'm so glad we're part of your journey into destiny. One thing is sure: you are right at your destiny. You become all that God has ordained for you. Despite the limitations, you become all that God has ordained for you as an individual. I want to encourage you to share this video with somebody. Subscribe to my channel. Okay, turn on your notification and like the video, and I will see you in your destiny. God bless you.